And so, as I said, Keith Gamage, who is with the Fulton County Solicitor General's office, an elected official that I was able to meet at a Labor Council meeting some time ago, and he was talking about this program he was going to have on expungement. You know, but everybody knows that all the government offices were shut down all last week and work piled up. So Kenya Johnson, who I had been in touch with, is here, and she's going to tell us about that program, but we're going to ask her some more questions about expungement in general. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having us, and we commend the Labor Forum for all of the good information that you all are sharing with the public and in your activism. So thank you all for having us. We are here to let you know about an event that is coming up called the Labor and Government Freedom Summit. It's a Restorative Justice Freedom Summit. Again, my name is Kenya Johnson, and I am from the Fulton County Solicitor General's office. The Solicitor General is Keith Gamage. And so our office runs on the mantra of smart, fair, and restorative justice. And so in that same vein, we have an upcoming event on Saturday, January 27th, our Freedom Summit, which will offer criminal record expungements, otherwise known as record restrictions, to eligible people for felonies and misdemeanors. So just to give you a bit of background, felonies are cases that carry a sentence of over 1 year in custody, and misdemeanors are less than 1 year in custody. And so in conjunction with the North Georgia Labor Council and the Fulton County District Attorney Paul Howard, we will be offering record expungements for felonies and misdemeanors. And as you know, a criminal record can be a very big barrier to success. They look at your criminal record as you apply for employment, apply for housing, for resources, benefits from the county and from the state. And so it affects many of the things that we do regularly, including financial aid for college, even if you have a misdemeanor conviction on your record or some sort of arrest. And so we'll be looking at people's criminal histories and seeing what qualifies. If you may be aware, Governor Deal has expanded the laws, and the legislature expanded the laws for record restrictions. There are certain initiatives that Governor Deal has pushed forward, such as Ban the Box, which prohibits state agencies from asking about criminal histories. And so we want to follow in that same idea, so that we can offer people the opportunity to clean their records as much as allowed by law and give you a second chance at success. Many people have had minor missteps in their lives, shoplifting cases, things that occurred when they were under 21 that they're still facing today. We even had a senior citizen to tell us that as she applied for senior housing, a conviction on her record from years ago when she was under 21 was prohibiting her from getting senior housing. So this is an issue that affects people in all walks of lives, because we were all young and foolish at one point, many of us. And so this is a chance to take a second look at those charges and those arrests and see how we can help people get a fresh start at life.
Well, I'll ask a question. We're all smiling here because all of us know somebody, and maybe even ourselves, who've been arrested for mostly political activities. Okay, so this is a process, and this is only available for people who are in Fulton County, right? Or is it that there has to be a Fulton County charge?
Sure, so it's a great question. It has to be a Fulton County charge, which means it comes under our jurisdiction for the felonies and the misdemeanors. And so if you were arrested in Fulton County and you were not convicted, certain convictions, if you're under 21, will apply. But say if you were arrested and took part in a diversion program, or perhaps you were never charged, then those are opportunities that we can clear from your criminal record. And as you mentioned, we all know someone that has been in this situation before. 3.8 million Georgians have a criminal history. That's over 1/3 of Georgia's population. And so this is something that affects us all. And the good work of Mr. Baskin, who was highlighted in today's labor history, who worked to help those the forgotten, people, and so sometimes we forget about those that have the criminal histories, and we release them after they've served some jail time or even were arrested, and we don't think about what happens to them afterward. But if they can't get a job, then there's the factor of recidivism, which means you continue to commit offenses as criminal offenses, and so we want to end that pipeline to prison by offering opportunities. We did a study. Previously, I was a prosecutor with the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, and when we were having big burglary issues, we went to the burglars and we said, what would make you stop breaking into people's houses? And the first thing and the most common thing we heard was a job. So it is the belief that people want to be employed, want to be productive citizens, and only when they have those problems, barriers, a criminal arrest, then it spirals into you can't get a job, and then you can't support your family, and then you're feeling bad about yourself, and then you commit another crime or do something desperate. And so we want to end that pipeline and again offer people another chance at success. Everyone needs a little redemption.
And this affects voting too, doesn't it? Your record can sometimes have a big effect on that.
Absolutely. So even if you've been convicted of a crime, if you haven't had any trouble in a while and you're out of your sentence, then you can still apply to have your civil rights restored. A lot of people think once you get a criminal record, that's it. However, there are opportunities, and then of course, if we're able to clear your record of some of those arrests, that offers more opportunities to apply for voter registration, which goes into some of the resources that we're having at the fair that is coming up on January 27th. So for those that do not have a criminal record, we still there's still the opportunity to apply for voter registration, for ex-offender housing opportunities, because that's a whole lane in and of itself for people that have records to get housing. We're also offering free legal advice. This population that we're looking to help may have other issues other than just criminal records. They may have child support issues or foreclosure or bankruptcy. So we're offering free legal advice in that respect as well. And finally, we're offering the opportunity to have your record sealed, because there's two parts to it. You clear your record, but what about those mugshot websites that are still out there? Well, even though your record has been cleared, technically, if someone can Google your name and see that you were arrested, we didn't do much good, did we? We didn't really help you out. So at this fair Expungement Summit, we hope to get those small things cleared, sealed, meaning that we can take them off of those websites and block it from anybody seeing that arrest anywhere.
I had a question. As I don't believe in the reformation of prisons and the prison system, but the total abolishment of it. My question would be kind of like when you kind of skimmed over child support, people who are on child support that have a warrant or conviction, are they able to come and get some type of expungement also? Like, how does that work for them?
Now, that is a great question. As we've gone out and advertised this event, people say, is this a trap? If I have a warrant, does that mean you guys are going to lock the doors and I'm going to get picked up? Absolutely not. We are not looking at warrants. No one will be taken into custody. We are pulling your criminal history, a version of your criminal history that applies just to Georgia, and we're looking to point people in the right direction, even if we can't help them ourselves.
So will they be helped, like, at all if they come in and they do have these issues with child support?
This event is open to the public, so we will have volunteer lawyers as well as the Georgia Justice Project there. So if they do have if they have any legal concerns, there will be attorneys there that will be able to assist them or at least point them in the right direction.
And my second question is, will there be any talk about money bail and ending money bail and at this?
So that is a hot topic, and just to fill that out, we're talking about misdemeanor bail reform, where misdemeanor detainees are charged, given a dollar amount to get out of jail, but oftentimes they are people that can't simply afford it. And so this reform discussion has been about what do we do with those that cannot simply pay, and do we continue to hold them in custody for minor offenses when they can't pay? At this event, we will not be addressing that particular issue. We're just pulling criminal histories and saying how we can use the law to help people get further in life.
So just to be clear one more time, this is you could reside, your residence could be in another county, but the charge happened in Fulton, and that's what matters in this case.
Absolutely.
Not where you live now.
Not where you live, but where the arrest occurred. And so we'll be handling, available to deal with all Fulton County jurisdictions. That's your, as you know, Fulton County has about 15 jurisdictions, the new city of South Fulton, all the way to Milton and Mountain Park. And so any jurisdiction that you were arrested in Atlanta, in Fulton County, we'll be able to take a look at and see if we can offer some relief.
So I'd like to ask a question, or just start a discussion, because very clearly you have pointed out how some of these minor offenses that are committed, oftentimes property crimes, not anything that involved any violence or hurting somebody else,
Correct.
ends up in creating just like a chain of events or a chain of situations in which a person, and we should be very frank, it's oftentimes youth of color, poor and working class people. It's certainly not oftentimes wealthy folks whose parents are able to secure lawyers. And so one of the things is right from the get-go is the availability of legal assistance and the use of plea bargains and all kinds of things which encourage or actually sort of force people to agree to say they're guilty or to accept some charge. And I know that your event is not necessarily dealing with that, but in your position in this office, there must be so much human tragedy and human I don't know, just a conundrum that people face, and that the system at this point really has no way or many ways to help people. And I know you're here as in an official capacity and therefore can't offer personal suggestions or solutions. But if you could talk a little bit about the numbers of people that come through the Fulton County office that are suffering, are facing this kind of nowhere to go place.
Well, I am a career prosecutor. I've been prosecuting for over 17 years. And we as prosecutors are charged with protecting public safety and protecting the rights of victims. So there are situations where victims are harmed, and then that is where we take a tough stance on crime and violent crime in particularly. However, under the leadership of Solicitor General Keith Gamage, we are engaged in smart, fair, and restorative justice. And what we realize now is that oftentimes justice may not mean a criminal conviction. Oftentimes, justice may mean some sort of diversion program where they are essentially ordered to complete some community service, take some classes, get some therapy, get some help, and by doing those things, then they will have completed a course of recovery that will not result in a criminal conviction. So what we're looking at are alternatives to convictions that will allow people to be more rehabilitated than your typical jail time may offer, whatever that may be, and look for ways that we can restore people so that they can be productive citizens, tax-paying citizens, where they can support their families and not be tax burdens because they're on any assistance. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we want to be able to put people in position where they can be contributing members of their society. So let's work on spending dollars for programming so that we can help people. And they're the people that can be helped. When we look at violent offenders, at that point we shift toward protecting public safety and victims' rights, and then that's not a good place that you want to be.
If there's someone out there, and I'm sure that there is someone out there listening, that has fallen into the trap and into the clutches of this system. Let's say that she's a mother, maybe driving, didn't have, wasn't able to pay insurance or something like this on her car, had financial problems, and she was stopped and she was pulled over, and she was given a fine or a summons, and she goes to court, and $600, and she doesn't have the money to bail out. and she has to pay this $600. So now the judge tells her, okay, well, we will put you on probation, and we will set up a payment plan, which already she couldn't pay if she couldn't pay the $600 at that time. And so she's trying to pay and keep up with other bills, but also paying this probation fee at the same time. And she falls behind because now not only does she have the probation, but she has the fees on top of that she has to pay, plus to raise her family and rent and lights and survival needs. And so she falls behind and they lock her up. Is at this point, because now she's going to risk losing everything, what kind of help does the system have for a person like that? Like, how does the system basically, I guess, help this, like, what help is there? Like, this person is not a criminal, has not committed any type of, not even a violent act or not even an act against property, but just the fact that they are poor.
I think that's a great example, and I'll be the first to say that criminal justice reform and the movement to offer other opportunities, there's definitely room for improvement. I will share that with you, but in that particular instance, there are a few things that I want to touch upon. So a traffic ticket, typical traffic ticket, non-DUI, is considered a city ordinance, and so those type of things do not go on your criminal history. So that's a good thing. And so also you spoke about probation, which others have referred to as crime on credit, where you're given a fine and you have to pay this monthly fee. If you don't pay the monthly fee, then you could be considered in contempt or in violation of that probation, and a prosecutor is authorized to go into court and ask for some other resolution. Sometimes that could be in lieu. Probation is actually in lieu of jail time. So if you aren't able to successfully complete probation, a judge is authorized to substitute the probation time for jail time, because under the theory that you've gotten an opportunity to stay out, you just had to pay. But our criminal justice system is not based on a debtor's prison type of system. Sometimes it results in that, but I'll be the first to admit that there is room for improvement, and there does need to be more resources available where we can seek justice in some other program. Practically speaking, a person would perhaps then go to their attorney and say, I can't pay this fine, and so I'm bound to be in contempt and to constantly be under the court's watch with these fines. And so then you look for other ways, community service, some other type of supervision that can ensure the court that you're trying to stay on a straight and narrow path and not commit a crime, but certainly there does need to be more help for people in those positions.
Well, okay. You know, here on the labor forum. Okay, well, here's this question. So this is happening at the IBEW building, and the Atlanta North Georgia Labor Council is a sponsor. So can you discuss at all as to why you either understand or know that the labor movement, the union movement in particular, wanted first for it to be in a union hall, and second, wanted to make sure that its membership knew about this event?
Well, we certainly commend the organized labor movement. We support them for the purpose of galvanizing the workers together for improved conditions. And so we are definitely supportive of that. And this goes back to employment. When people have their records as clear as they can be according to the law, then it's under the premise that they can have more employment opportunities. And so Solicitor Gamage was approached by the North Georgia Labor Council, as well as some of the individual unions, because they've taken on criminal justice reform as a platform in their programming. And so this fell right into what we do, and because the labor unions represent so many people that may be impacted by criminal records or that need employment, this was a perfect marriage for us to support the labor unions. And I'll tell you that the North Georgia Labor Council and their supporting organizations have been very supportive of us in this process. They've spread the word. They have supported us in word and deed and offered us us a wonderful auditorium for us to do this work all day on Sunday. And for those, all day on Saturday, January 27th. And for those that are unable to physically appear, we do at the Solicitor General's office have an expungement unit. So this opportunity goes on in perpetuity. What normally used to take about 120 days to be complete will now be handled for one day at this forum and also ongoing through our office and our expungement unit. So thank you to Organized Labor for the concept of doing this type of expungement summit for pushing it out to their members. We've gotten great pre-registrations thus far, and even though we said pre-registration ended on January 20th, because we've gotten an overwhelming response, we're keeping the registration open until the day of the event, and then walk-ins are welcome, so this event will be open to the public to take advantage.
I have one more question. So let's suppose somebody comes on this coming Saturday, speaks with a volunteer attorney, I assume fills some paperwork out. How long is it estimated that it actually will take for this process to work its way through? You just said 120 days. I mean, that's 4 months.
Well, for our Labor and Government Restorative Justice Freedom Summit, we will be doing record restrictions, aka expungements, on the spot. So unless you're one of the last people that sign up, we'll be there after the event to continue doing them. And anyone that we are not able to resolve and completely help that day, we'll be in touch in the following week. We'll have everyone's application resolved within a week after the event.
Is there any coordination in terms of metro counties? Is anything like this? I thought I heard this was happening in DeKalb too.
Other counties have been engaged in expungement events, but we hope to do it the best, and we hope to have the biggest here in Fulton County. There was a previous event in April of last year at Ebenezer Baptist Church where hundreds were assisted.
I remember that.
And to hear the testimonials from those that were helped, we even, so we've taken this show on the road. We've partnered with faith leaders, we've partnered with labor organizations, and anyone that has an interest. Some of the partners in this particular summit, not only the labor unions, but we have the Georgia Justice Project, we have the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, and we also have the Alumni Association of Delta Sigma Theta being a part of this. So this is something, criminal justice reform is a movement that has taken hold, and people are more and more interested in allowing people to have better chances and better opportunities instead of just locking up those nonviolent offenders. So change is in the air. We're glad to be a part of it, on the forefront of it, and I want you all to all keep in mind that smart, fair, and restorative justice does not always mean a conviction.
Let me ask one more question. If there's somebody with a community organization, or as you said, another faith-based group or something else that's interested in hosting something like this, who do they contact?
We invite you to contact the Solicitor General's office. You can find us at fultonrestorativejustice.org. Our telephone number is 404-612-4800. My name is Kenya Johnson. I currently serve as the Deputy Solicitor under Keith Gamage, who is our elected official. Please reach out to us, and we can either come to you, we can set up a smaller event, we can join with other community partners for a larger event. This expungement unit is here to stay, and as long as we're in office, we're looking to assist those nonviolent offenders while protecting the rights of victims and ensuring public safety for us all.
Any other last question that anybody has? Well, I just want, one more time, if you wouldn't mind giving the time, address, who should come, or who could come, one more time.
And what services will be provided?
Absolutely. Come one and come all to the event on Saturday, January 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the IBEW building located at 501 Pulliam Street in downtown Atlanta. There, people with a Fulton County arrest, any jurisdiction in Fulton County, will be able to apply to have their record expunged or record restricted. The laws were expanded in 2013 to allow for more opportunities, so this is the best time. If you've applied before, please apply again. Your particular circumstance may now be included thanks to the efforts of the legislature and the governor's office. So we are going to have housing resources for offenders there. We will have on-the-spot job resources and interviews. We're getting calls every day about people that want to hire ex-offenders because, believe it or not, they are very organized, very regimented. They're used to showing up. They're used to being there on time. And so it has been argued that ex-offenders or offenders that have been incarcerated at some point are often some of the best workers. And so we are looking to entice employers to hire ex-offenders, and we will also have resources for free legal advice, whatever your issue may be. And we also, just to put the cherry on top, we're offering voter registration so you get your record cleared and you're a perfect citizen. We need you to participate in jury duty. We need for everyone to be an active citizen and participate in the judicial process. So we invite you, in the electoral process. So we invite everyone to apply to get to register to vote as well. So many resources will be available, and so that's what's going on January 27th.
All right, just one more time, the contact info, either a website, telephone number, and then we will thank you for being here.
Sure, those that are interested can pre-register at FultonRestorativeJustice.org. That's FultonRestorativeJustice.org, or call our Expungement Division at 404-612-4803. Call us, we'd love to partner with you. Thank you so much for having us. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, so folks, this was Kenya Johnson from the Solicitor General's office, and this is a issue, the whole question of mass incarceration, how people get tangled up in a prison system, unfair and unjust prosecution, racism in the courts, no money.
And they end up in slavery once again.
Yeah, so this is a big issue that impacts a lot of people. We applaud and thank those that are engaged within the process for doing their best to ameliorate some of the injustices that we see. And we thank you for coming on the Labor Forum and telling us about this program this coming Saturday at the IBEW. So I hope everybody's taken down the phone numbers. You just remember Solicitor General's office, and then you can get more info from them. Thanks, Kenya.
Thank you.
Thank you.